All right, I got to get down to where I can scroll and turn the music off, but just such a hype joint. Hopefully, you enjoyed week 3. We're here for week 4, NFL defenses and kickers. Starting off, Chev, we have the Washington Commanders, and I got to click the right one. Washington Commanders on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. Current over under 44.5, 43% on sleeper, 39% started. Michael Penix has stuck it up with the Falcons offense. They're really out of rhythm. The easy, simple, nice version of this is if you get shut out 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers, who last year, what was it, week 17, both QB1 and QB2 were Penix and Bryce Young, and it was a shootout city. We projected this for a whole lot. We wanted a whole lot more for Bijan Robinson. Just name any of the players, right? Drake London, things have been out of sorts. So we are attacking that. Go out and get some Washington Commanders. Chev, tell us about the Buffalo Bills playing against the Saints. We mentioned them last week.
Well, they were our look ahead spot last week. So the Buffalo Bills come in, and they're taking on the New Orleans Saints. I mean, it's a 48.5-point over under, but we just saw the total can go over, and the Saints don't even really have to be willing participants in what's going on. They can just lay there until it's over. So they chose to lay there this week against the Seahawks. I think we're going to do that again against the Bills next week. The Bills are going to be able to generate pressure much in the way that the Seahawks did, even though they haven't been successful in generating pressure thus far. But the Saints are seeming like a ticking time bomb of sorts. So we'll see if they make the trip. You know, they had to play in Seattle this week. They're traveling all the way to Buffalo next week. So we'll see how that works out. So I think that the Buffalo Bills DST is a pristine play for next week.
Man, 16.5-point underdogs. And like you say, they're going to get all their airline miles and at least the travel rewards, but they're going to get whooped next week. It's going to be bad. Next up, we've got the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Ireland against the Steelers. Currently a 40.5 over under. Low scoring is expected. The Vikings, 1.5-point favorites on a neutral site. Now, this is just a benefactor of you already have them. They're locked in. This is more of they are a strong play. You just want to go right back to the well. The Vikings defense crushes the Bengals, got 36 fantasy points in week 3. Now they get to pick on Aaron Rodgers. Here's the stat line for the Vikings this week in week 3. 4 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns. Defensive back, Isaiah Rodgers, if you had him in IDP, the league that I play in, he had 25 IDP fantasy points. Depending on your scoring settings, there were plenty more where that came from. Next up, Chev, tell us the Los Angeles Rams versus the Colts next week.
So, I mean, this is the quintessential streamer spot, and I'm a little nervous about this one. I'm not gonna lie to you, just because of the fact that the Colts have been playing really, really good football, or at least winning football and scoring a bunch of points while doing so. But I think that's probably going to come to a screeching halt this week. I think Daniel Jones against that front seven that's been extremely active over the course of the last few weeks is going to have a lot of problems in terms of being able to stay poised under pressure. So this is a team. I mean, they're 32% rostered on ESPN, 27% rostered on Sleeper. I know that the Colts are all just the bee's knees, if you will, but the Rams have scored 12, 9, and 6 fantasy points respectively. They held an Eagles team that was pretty much just running roughshod over people in turn, like on the ground. They held them in check for quite a while until they decided to throw the forward pass again. So I think that this is going to be a great spot for the Rams here. Now, Coach, why don't you tell us about the Detroit Lions defense against the Septingles?
So we're going to have, this is our look ahead spot. Remember last week we talked about a look ahead for the Buffalo Bills, and you're right, and it's going to be a start of the week, the Buffalo Bills versus the Saints. But now you have the Detroit Lions. We just saw what the Minnesota Vikings did to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now we really do expect better days from this Bengals offense, and you're not going to get 30 points every single time. But give me the Detroit Lions. You pick them up a week early. You're going to get them into next week. They play the Ravens tomorrow night. So that should be a shootout. It's not going to be desirable to have the Detroit Lions. So the Detroit Lions, 56% on ESPN, 46% on Sleeper, likely not started, and quite possibly dropped, as people aren't thinking of the fact that there's a look ahead for the next week. Scary matchup against the Ravens, and it's a stay away. So it sets up an opportunity there. So the Lions will be easy to grab. We're not expecting them to stop the Ravens. So this should be an easy drop in some leagues or in a pickup for you, depending on how things go. Now, in season weekly, how you want to play, we have a great contest for you. Listen to the Podfather.
I know you're sad draft season is over, but just because the NFL season starts doesn't mean the drafting stops. Because Fast Draft has the Flex 6 Frenzy. You're drafting 6 guys for the Sunday slate against 9 other competitors. It's fast, it's furious, it's fun. And as with everything on Fast Draft, there are no salaries. Woo! So go to draftfaster.com, get the app, use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
And there you have it. Chev, tell us, we talked about the Bills defense earlier, how you're going to want them. We've wanted them the last 2 weeks, especially this week. Tell us about Matthew Prater, week 4.
Matthew Prater comes in. This is a 48-point over-under, as we mentioned before. And Matthew Prater comes in being the beneficiary of one of the most elite offenses in the entire NFL. As I told you before, the Saints don't even have to be a willing participant in this 48-point over-under. And who knows if they will. But I can tell you that Matt Prater is going to be pretty active in this game. So whether it's kicking extra points or booming long field goals, you want Matt Prater in your lineup. Currently only 54% rostered on ESPN, 48 on Sleeper. They're 16.5-point favorites. So let's chase the dragon right here. Why don't you tell us about the Sly Dog, Joey Sly, and his golden leg?
Hey, and we've been on Joey Sly on this show in some previous weeks. Now we have him again as another play. The Titans, Joey Sly, at the Houston Texans. You have a current over under 38.5. That provides opportunity for some stall drives and some boom kicks. 11% is Sly on Sleeper, 2.6% on ESPN. So both places, both spots. This is somebody you can get easily. You know, it's great production and it's easy to acquire. In 3 weeks, Joey Sly, 15 points, 17 points, and 9 fantasy points. So look for double digits out of Sly. He has made 4 50-yard field goals so far this season. And we've seen, Chev, unfortunately, this Titans offense surely does stall out, and that provides those 50-yarders, those opportunities. So even if it's not a high over-under, we have opportunity there for Sly, which in 3 weeks, he has paid off greatly. Tell us about the Rams, Josh Cardi.
Before we do that, I would just like to point out that anytime the Tennessee Titans cross the 50-yard line, you know, Joey Sly's leg starts talking to Brian Callahan like the Green Goblin mask. So that's a key to fantasy success right there, just having Joey Sly on your team because he has some sort of, you know, mental control over Brian Callahan's coaching decisions. So, but moving on to Joshua Cardi. Joshua Cardi, only 2% rostered on Sleeper, 9.7% rostered on ESPN. He's had 9 and 15 fantasy points. He did get the game-winning kick blocked this week, but we don't care about that because we're playing in a high over-under game, and they've got pristine conditions in Los Angeles. It's a dome that they can close up or they can leave it open, but it never rains in Southern California, so we should be good on that front. So we're talking about a guy who's going to probably have an opportunity to go double digits again this week in a high over-under game. So you want Joshua Cardi kicking field goals in your lineup this week. This is the key to maximizing your kicker spot. Why don't you tell us about why you hate us because you McManus?
So you got the Green Bay Packers and the Cowboys. Brandon Aubrey, he's already spoken for. It'd be silly for us to mention him. He's a strong play. Everybody knows that, right? Well, on the other side of a 48.5 over-under total, you got Brandon McManus, 15% on ESPN, 20% on Sleeper. So people are sleeping on Brandon McManus. The first 3 weeks, he's had 9 points, 10 points. And then at Cleveland, 3. Tough scene. And ask all the Green Bay Packers. What a surprise. That's why we play the game, right? The Browns upset the Packers. McManus, he's going to be on the other side of Brandon Aubrey, who is a set and forget kicker. So get some of that goodness for cheap with McManus in week 4. I really like this play. And it's, again, 15%, 20%. This is going to be somebody that you can go out and grab if you're in a pinch. Now tell us, good word, Chev. He was on the show last week. Spencer Schrader for the Colts.
Well, first of all, this pristine picture of this young man, alliteration aside, we're going back to the well of this Colts and Rams game, and we're going to go with Spencer Schrader. The last 3 weeks, he's had 16, 18, and 10 fantasy points. That's going to line up pretty well for the 48.5 point over-under. He did miss a 50-yarder that would have put him at 15 points for this week, but we get him in a kicker shootout, a high over-under game with Joshua Cardi, Spencer Schrader, must-see TV come 3 p.m. on Sunday.
Man, you love to see it. Kickers and defense, there you have it. We will see you next week.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.